Rice again.
After today's draw against Manchester City, Rodri was interviewed and he said, Arsenal did an unbelievable season, but the difference was the mentality. When we came here, we didn't want to beat us. We just wanted to draw. Oh, wait, no, sorry. He was talking about Arsenal when they went to the Etihad one season ago. This is not that kind of Gooner, an Arsenal podcast. And we're coming to you after our draw at home, 1-1 to Manchester City to cap off the weekend. And obviously it was very disappointing and not the win that John and I had predicted at the beginning of the weekend. But we'll get into all that. We'll talk about the lineup and the performances, and we'll try to guess at what Mikel Arteta was thinking on the day. We'll see how close we get. But yeah, we'll try to piece this together and hopefully come away at least like feeling a little bit better about the whole thing. Anyway, with me to do that today is John, who you can follow at 305cast. John, aside from again a disappointing match, how was your weekend?
It was good. I actually had the chance to watch a friend of mine. He coaches a youth girls soccer team here in Florida. They are the Cooper City Cobras, and they had a tournament this weekend. So it's Coach Izquierdo, and it was an all-weekend tournament, and they actually won. They actually won the whole thing. So it was pretty cool. It's called the United Soccer Cup. I got to see a couple of really amazing plays, because younger group of girls, and they had this one right wing. Her name was Bella, and she was like a little Bukayo Saka, man. She was beating she was tearing it up. And then they have this number 10, coolest name ever, by the way. Phoenix is her name.
Oh, her actual name.
Her name's Phoenix, and
wow,
like really, really good, really good. So it was a lot of fun. They got the trophy, they got the medals. So congratulations to the Cooper City Cobras.
Shout out to the Cobras and congrats.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it sounds like they had a better weekend than Arsenal did, and again, congrats to them. That's a really impressive achievement. So glad to hear that they won.
Yeah. I wish maybe Bella could have started for us on the right, or we needed that at number 10. Someone on the left. Yeah.
Maybe we could have used Phoenix a little bit in midfield or something.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, let's just start with the lineup, right? Because I think that is kind of the best jumping off point for how to approach this game. And we were talking about it, and we mostly called the lineup right. I think you and I both had a feeling that Marino would play, and we'll obviously touch on that in a second. But it was Raya, Timber, Saliba came in like we both thought would happen. Gabriel alongside him, Calafiori, Zumendi, Rice, Marino, and then Madueke, Gyökeres, Trossard.
Yeah, that's the big one, right?
That's the big one. And yeah, I just remember seeing that. And look, Marino, in hindsight, don't think that's the move that Arteta should have made. And we'll talk about that and why maybe that's something that needs to be reconsidered a little bit in how often we use him. But the Trossard pick really was strange to me, right? Because the way I think about it, right, you have Eze, who can get past his man really well. He's not, this crazy speedster of a player, but he's, super silky on the ball, creates chances. He's direct and is just capable of moments of magic that can really turn a game on its head, right? And then you have Martinelli, who, if you want to try to run in behind the team, if you want to try to hit them on the counter, if you want to try to be direct and maybe have someone play as like a second striker or something like that, Martinelli's your guy. What I don't understand is picking Trossard here, because Trossard doesn't really offer anything that Eza or Martinelli don't. You know what I mean? If you are, and I mean this with all respect, because we are talking about a guy who helped us win our Champions League opener against Bilbao last week, but we are talking about a guy here who just is not as good at the things that he does as the Martinelli are. So I thought it was a really galaxy brain decision, and I don't think he really added much to the match. Um, I think he was lucky not to get himself embroiled in a bit of controversy when he kind of took the bait a little bit from Bernardo Silva and pegged the ball, not pegged the ball in, but kind of just like threw the ball at him. And yeah, I don't see what we got out of that decision. And he was on the pitch for 83 minutes today. So I mean, could just tell me what you made of the Trossard move, or the Trossard inclusion in the starting 11.
Yeah, that was a very bizarre selection, in my opinion. I think that if he had, if Eze had some kind of a knock or some kind of a physical thing going on, fine, whatever. But I don't think that was the case. I think Arteta was kind of going off vibes from the last game, and I think maybe he thought, listen, Trossard's a known entity to me. I know what I'm going to get with him. I feel like he overthinks the Pep matchup. Yeah, and he has this tendency, I think, to play it too safe, and I think that's a foible of Mikel Arteta. And there's not a Mikel Arteta, and I don't think it's wrong to point out weaknesses in someone. I know Arteta would be the first one to want to try to fix any kind of deficiencies in his coaching style, and I think that at this point in his career, he should get over being afraid from the jump. Like, I get being pragmatic. You're at home. This is a City team that hasn't been very good
No.
this season, it's like he's incapable. He did it with Liverpool too. I think that if we really went at Liverpool and not gone in there, I don't want to keep rehashing old stuff, but unfortunately, it's part of the broader context of why I think the decisions in this game were improper. Even down to the team selection, he overthinks things. I think sometimes. I think that's one of his weaknesses. And again, as I was saying earlier, particularly when it comes to the matchup against Pep, I can get why too, right? Maybe this is one that I feel like he needs to win, and I feel like the same thing when he goes to Anfield. Like, he has all these experiences of Anfield as a player. I imagine that kind of gets in his head, and he needs to kind of figure out a way to cope with that. And I think that over preparedness is one way that he might do that. I don't know. I'm just speculating here, but it would make sense because it does seem like he tends to overthink and overworry when it comes to this match. The Trossard decision is a very interesting one. Again, it's a weird one, right? Because if it worked out, we'd be saying, "Go, wow, that was a great job." Like, now Trossard is showing that he, can potentially start, but I don't really think so. I think even if he did well, it would have been like, wow, I would be sitting here saying that was a gamble. I'm glad it paid off.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me. That didn't make sense to me. I think Eze should have started on the left. I don't think this midfield three of Zubamendi, Rice, and Merino works. We got to get rid of this already. I think there's certain cases where you can tweak that maybe mid-game or something like that if you need a little bit more control, but we need creativity. Poor Gyökeres is sitting there like barren of any kind of like meaningful chances. And look at the biggest chance we got in the game that turned into a goal was when we just bypassed the midfield altogether and as they just chipped the ball in. That was, you know what I'm saying? I want to see balls like that to Gyökeres. That's what I want to see. I want to see, obviously it's going to be a little bit difficult without Odegaard, and we can kind of get into that. But then again, I feel it's weird because I feel like Nwaneri should have started this one, but I get why he didn't, right? And it kind of sucks because I feel like when Odegaard's out, that creative outlet is severely missing. And I think that Eze comes in and fills that role, but then now you have this problem on the left because now you're either playing Trossard or Martinelli, which, hey, kind of, Martinelli for the second game in a row now come and saved our ass. So, anyway, yeah, it was a little bit of a weird one, I guess, to answer your question in a less rambling way, to use Trossard.
Yeah, I think it's one of two things, right? I think with the Trossard and Marino thing, you can pick one, but you can't pick the.
We lost your vocals there, Sham. While you're sorting that out, I think what you were saying that I think you were about to say that you can have one or the other, but not both. And I think while you're sorting that out, I kind of agree with that. I think when you have Marino in the middle, you have a little bit more control, but I think you lose this kind of creativity in attack. And I think what Trossard does really well is I think he'll go at defenders pretty well, and he can be a kind of a goal threat. But I feel like the creative aspect of it, when it's individual creativity, I think Trossard is extremely talented, and I think he has the ability to go and do what he does and create something for himself oftentimes. But when it comes to creation for other players, obviously this is coming off of him assisting Martinelli in the last game. But I don't know. I just think that midfield itself, regardless of whether Trossard's playing or not, I just don't like it. I don't think it's a very creative, impactful midfield. I think that it's a safe midfield. It's like the El Neni of midfields. Like it's not going to do you wrong, but it's not going to really win the game for you. And that's no. I know your Egyptian background. It's not a slight on El Neni. I think he's an excellent player, and
He's good for what he is.
Yeah, great servant for the club. But you're not like, oh, El Neni's coming on, we're going to win this match now. It's always like, oh, El Neni's coming on, we're not going to lose the match. And that's what I'm getting at with Arteta. Like he plays and sets the team up so that you're going, okay, well maybe we don't lose the midfield battle, but we're not going to win the midfield battle. I don't know. It's frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, I think with the midfield specifically, right? We were talking about this in the group chat. Do I sound better, by the way?
Yeah. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, and we fixed your mic here.
Apologies to people who have been listening for the first 12 minutes. I didn't actually connect my mic like I thought I did. Now I've connected my mic. Anyway,
nice.
Yeah, so, Scott Willis posted this thing earlier, and we were talking about this in the group chat, where with Marino and Rice in the midfield, we've played 12 matches. We've won 3, drawn 5, lost 4. And the thing about, well, first of all, what I'll say is you can start Marino or you can start Trossard. I don't think you can start both, right? Because when you start both, it tells me, and I think that the aim is you're trying to manage the game. And you're trying to make the game dependent on very fine margins. And I don't know why you would do that when Erling Haaland is on the other side of the pitch. Right? Like that is the best player in the world in terms of making fine margins count for their team. So I don't know why you're trying to play that game with the best striker on the planet. But in terms of our midfield, I understand why we did it at Liverpool, right? Because we thought they were going to press us, and we thought maybe we could bully their midfield a little bit and kind of slow the game down, keep it from turning into a basketball game, just win the duels, hold on to possession, and really just kind of make the game clunky, which is not how Liverpool want to play, right? So I understand doing that there. It probably, and also just, as it hadn't been there for that long, Odegaard wasn't available. Winery, I don't think you could really throw Winery into that kind of situation. But here, you have a team coming to the Emirates. They started O'Reilly at left back and Kusanov at right back. Their midfield has been sliced open. We did it this game too. right? Ourselves. This midfield has been sliced open time and time again this season, and we're only 5 games in. This is your chance to really take the game to City and make a statement, right? And instead we showed up, they were expecting us to show up with a bazooka, and we showed up with a bow and arrow by putting Marino in midfield and Trossard at left wing, right? And so it's like jumping out of a plane and pulling the parachute immediately. That's not how you're supposed to use these guys. So
it was right there. It was there. We could have won this. I know. Again, we could have beat City. This is how many times have we, are we going to be in this position? That one game at the Etihad when we drew and we should have won the league and it came down to the wire. It's just these games against City and against Liverpool now too. It's just annoying.
And here's the main problem with that midfield, right? You can try to manage the game from minute 1, and you can try to make it about winning duels and holding on to the ball in their third and making sure that we're not playing risky. If they get a goal early, then what is that setup going to do? And we saw that. The City scored early off a counter, right? And then after that, we looked toothless until halftime when we made changes.
They also sat 11 men behind the ball, and which is another thing, by the way. When Arteta goes to the Etihad, goes down a man, and then parks the bus to try to, do something and get something out of the game, he's a terrorist. But when Pep Guardiola comes to the Emirates and is at 0-0 and has Haaland on his team and does the same thing once they go 1-0 up, it's brilliant. Good job. Nothing.
It's bad faith. People just want to find a way to make fun of Arsenal, and they're not they're too cowardly to just come out and say I don't like Arsenal and I'm going to find ways to talk shit about them. And pardon my language, because there might be,
there might be a youth girls soccer team watching this podcast right now.
Yeah. So apologies for my language, but they just want to say whatever they can say to talk down on us. And if you are somehow one of those people who stumbled onto this podcast and you are listening right now, I just want to say this. I'm going to look right at the camera. Just own it. Just be an adult. Just say, I don't like Arsenal, and I'm going to come up with any way I can to make fun of this team, because I hate this team for one reason or another, and I hate their fans, and seeing them upset makes me happy. That's okay, by the way, right? It's
part of being a sports fan, it's hating rivals.
I just watched the Cowboys lose to the Bears today. I love it. It was great, right? So that's okay, but just own that.
Yeah.
Don't try to make up these excuses. Be like, oh well, City don't have anything to prove, and it's a new season. It's a new season. Everyone has something to prove this season.
Right.
So, don't Arsenal have something to prove, so they have to play a specific way, and I'm going to hold City to. No. Just say, I don't like this team, and I'm happy that they lost.
And I have a different set of standards for them than my team or any other team in the league.
Yeah, just be honest.
Yeah, just be open with yourself. Enough's enough already.
Yeah, we live in a very dishonest world. Don't add to it.
Agreed.
Stepping off my soapbox now.
No, I think there was your points are well taken there. I think there's a lot of narrative around Arsenal that, and I think it's partially because our fans are so prominent, in the social media sphere. And it's just, we're such a big club that has gone so long without major titles.
Yeah.
And we've been through so much. We've been through so much with Wenger and the building of the stadium, and then Emery, and then, now Arteta, and this whole, it's been a while. It's been like half a decade since he took over. I mean, half a decade without him, but we're starting to see us kind of push that upper echelon of teams. Now you have Man City coming to your home and parking the bus because they're afraid of you. I mean, there's something to be said about all of that.
Yeah, I just think, look, at the end of the day, right, you had Saka on the bench, and I'm fine with how we use Saka today. By the way, Madueke's been cooking the last couple of weeks, and we even said last weekend or last episode, start Madueke against City. That's fine, but you have Madueke, you have Eza, who was one of the best players in the league last season. You have Waneri, who is one of the best young players on the planet, right? You have Saka. And you have Gyökeres, who was one of the best strikers in the world. Gyökeres has taken 7 shots in the league so far. That's not good enough. And behind those players, you have Raya, 2-time Golden Glove winner. You have Timber, like one of the top 3 right backs in the world. You have Saliba and Gabriel, best center back partnership in the world. You have Calafiori, who's a budding superstar at left back. You have Rice, £100 million defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
The human version of Inspector Gadget, who can just tackle at any angle he wants to.
Except the last couple games, apparently.
Except, yeah. But even in this game, like, Rice had some moments where, like, he had to make, I wouldn't say last-ditch tackles, but he made some important interventions, including tackles in midfield. So, that's a baseline for him.
Right.
And then next to Rice, you have Martin Zubimendi, who Rodri literally came out and said, I'm giving the keys to the Spanish national team to this guy. So why do you, like Mikel Arteta, why do you not want to take some risk? Not every single player on that pitch is going to be 100% safe on the ball. And that's not how you win games. That's not how you win games. That's how you don't lose games. And if I'm being completely 105% honest here, I have been pushing back so hard against this narrative that Arteta is conservative and Arteta plays too safe and Arteta isn't a big risk taker because I still disagree with it. But I don't want that to be true, because if that is true, we really have to revisit how we feel about this manager.
Maybe. Look. So I'm on the other camp. I do think that he gets afraid. He's a human being, and I think that he overthinks things. I think he is a very analytical person, and I think that his overthinking sometimes leads him to pick the safest option, which is oftentimes a pragmatic option, which is oftentimes a conservative approach. The problem is, I think that, which I understand, there's a lot of pressure on him. There's a lot of pressure on these players. There's a lot of, this is what it becomes when you become, this is what happens when you become a title-challenging team, a perennial title-challenging team. Yeah. You have the crosshairs on you, and that's part of the deal. And I think he needs to get better at taking risks. He needs to get better at taking risks. He's got the capability of doing it. We have great players. If we just handbrake off that whole thing, I feel like we play with the handbrake off. And it's interesting because I watched the game with someone who is a soccer fan, but and loves football, but does not it doesn't really watch Arsenal, more of a La Liga, and not like a religious kind of football watcher, but watches like the World Cup and stuff like that. So it was interesting to see someone who kind of has a fresh perspective on Arsenal as well as kind of football in general. And it was interesting. What they noticed was they turned to me and go, why do they keep going backwards? Like no one's doing anything. Why does the ball keep coming backwards? Yeah. Why is it taking so long to get over there? And I'm going. It was interesting because I kind of knew that. I had the idea, I know that we build up and we're careful, but it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary at that point. We're just playing in the back. There was no one pressuring us in many times, and we were just standing off. They were afraid. That's the only explanation for what it was to go forward and lose the ball. And I've said this before in this podcast. It does not make sense when you have the best defense in the league. Why are you afraid to get the ball forward? Hoof it. Let's play some long ball football. Just shove it down there. Let's start fighting over there. We can win the ball back. Yeah, it's gonna. You know what I'm saying? Like there needs to be some times where that happens. And guess what? What happens today? The goal that we scored comes from when we just said screw it. And what happened against Atletico? We went screw it, and we chipped it over there. And guess what? The same person got on the end of it twice.
93rd minute, Eza said, "Fuck it, Martinelli's down there somewhere."
Yeah, exactly. And I don't understand why we can't take that approach more often. What is with this need to control the games all the time? I get that it worked when we were trying to stabilize ourselves. I get that Arteta wants to play this certain way, but there needs to be time when we're a little bit more cavalier with our attacking. You have what is the point of buying Victor Gyökeres if you're not going to get the ball to him? I feel bad for him. I really do. I feel bad for him. As much as you can feel bad for, a professional football player, I guess.
Here's the thing, right? If you pick a team to control the game, that's good and all.
Yeah.
While if you're winning or it's 0-0. The moment that team goes down, what are they going to do? That's why, again, it goes back to this idea that not taking risks is a risk in itself, right? Because if you played a team of ballers, and by team of ballers, I really just mean if you swapped out Marino and Trossard for like Guarneri and Eza, right? And we go down 1-0. What happens after that? They get the ball and they say, all right, let's go. Oh, John, I think you're muted now.
And you know what they do? They do what they did for the last 30, 40 minutes or 30 minutes when it was too late already. And I texted that in the group chat. I said, why now? And I tweeted it. I said, why now? Why couldn't we start the game like that? I don't understand. Arteta, listen to me real quick. Okay. Next game, I want you to go in there with your light bulb or whatever you're going to do and draw on the board. And I want you to say, all right, guys, you're 1-0 down. This is the start of the game before a kickoff even happens. You're 1-0 down. Whatever I saw there when we came on after halftime to score the goal, start the game like that. I don't understand. The impetus to score, it's there. The ability to score, it's there. But it's the direction that we're taking is too conservative. Just go in there, pretend like you're 1-0 down, and you need to score a goal, like your life depended on it. We would be a scary team if we did that. We were anyway.
But
sorry,
he didn't even play the players who play that way. And look, Marino. There are uses for Marino. I'm not sitting here and saying he's a bum, he's a DM, yada yada yada. Right? That's all garbage. But Marino is a guy like Anfield and Athletic Club away. Those uses, I understand, because you're going away. These are big, raucous crowds. They're at home. They're going to want to take the game to you, and they want to make a point. That's fine, right? So if you want to slow the game down, if you want to try to make it about winning duels and second balls, if you want to play over the press, sure, fine. But you're at home. You're at the Emirates against the worst City side that we've seen in over a decade. They started Kusanov, who's been a basket case since they signed him in January, and O'Reilly, I don't even know who that is, at left back. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Don't do this whole thing where it's like, oh, well, that's what they expect from us. They want us to play down the right back, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play down the right. I'm going to play over the top. No, don't take what they're giving you. Take what they're giving you. So play Eza against Kusanov. That guy will be shipped off to the insane asylum within 25 minutes if he's up against Eza. And then I don't know. I think Arteta.
No, you're right.
Yeah, I think Arteta again is a little scarred from earlier years of this project.
Yep.
Where we tried to play a certain way, a little bit more ambitiously, a little bit more not as risk averse. And we were punished for it at times. I really do think that the 4-1 away at City is a what's the word I'm looking for here? It's a critical moment, right? In the Arteta arc. And I think since that moment, Arteta has really focused on making this team as difficult to beat as possible. But we are at the point now where this team has to win games. This team has to take the game to other teams to show that they are top dog. And you don't show that you're top dog by limiting the game to 2 chances apiece. That's just not how you do it. So, and again, we're gonna go to. We're not gonna play this way against Port Vale, right? We'll set up just fine. We'll just fine against Port Vale. We'll set up just fine against Burnley and Sunderland and West Ham and all those teams, right? We're not worried about those teams. But against Liverpool, when they come to the Emirates, I'm sorry, I don't want to do this. I don't want to play Marino, Rice, Zubimendi. Okay? And when we go to Spurs, you really have to sit down and think about what you want to do there. So, I just...
Here's the thing, though. Yeah. Here's the thing. Even if we go and we start doing all of that, I mean, these are lessons that should have been learned already. I don't understand why we're still afraid of attacking in 2025 when you have the best defense in the league and one of the best goalkeepers in the league. I don't understand why we have to learn this every season. And here's the thing. Let's say we have to learn it mid-season now, or in the beginning of the season, like we are now, and we go to Liverpool at the Emirates. We go and we play Spurs away, and we have we've learned our lesson, and we play differently against Port Vale, which you're right, we're probably going to go there and attack the crap out of them. All right,
we're Endowment will start that game easy.
Yeah, we're 5 points now behind Liverpool. And obviously it's early days. I'll probably be a little bit more concerned if that's the case come December. There's plenty of room for them to slip up and us to catch up on them. And I think we have the quality and stuff. So there's a little bit of a reality check about it's not about it being gloom and doom, right? It's that we make it difficult for ourselves. And it's stuff that like everyone can kind of see. And it's almost like this team has this ability, and Arteta has this ability for me to be confused in brand new ways every other week. Like now, if you said what would be the most confusing thing for you, it would have been like, well, it would actually be pretty interesting if Nwaneri started instead of Mourinho. I think he's going to go with Mourinho. And then I saw the team sheet, and I'm like, Trossard starting. I was like, maybe Martinelli, but Trossard. And
I literally saw that, and I was like, why?
Yeah, so it's again. Various amazing ways that this team can kind of confuse me in novel settings. And, just to put in perspective, there's still time in the season. I get that. But even if we do end up playing well against all those other teams you listed and we actually start going, we need to stop making it difficult for ourselves. Yeah. We really do. And, it's kind of cliche, but there's some truth to, I think, Liverpool wins this game. You know what I mean? And last season Liverpool definitely wins this game. These are the kind of things where it's like you go into it with the right mindset. All right. Now, and here, it's ironic because we kind of pulled a Liverpool in stoppage time here to get some points magically. Which, by the way, I don't want to take away from that goal. So Martinelli, we should probably talk about Martinelli.
Yeah. So can I just say one more?
Yeah. Wrap it up. Yeah. Put a bow on it.
Just to put a bow on this, I think, if I'm trying to put myself in Arteta's shoes here, right? Because I don't want to do this thing where we're just sitting here calling him a coward, right? I think what Arteta wanted to do here was to control the game until the later stages. Keep this 0-0, and then throw on Eza, throw on Saka, maybe shift Madueke over to left wing, maybe put on Nwaneri, right? Something. Just inject a little bit more attacking quality into this team against tired legs, take the win, right? And I don't say that to be like, oh, what a great plan. I just think that's what I think the game plan must have been with Marino and Trossard in the starting 11. The problem with that is that's the wrong order now. Mm-hmm. The correct order of operations now is to win the game first. Start with ballers. Start with your attacking quality, because even if you go down 1-0 against City, even if you go down 2-0 against City, those guys are going to get into the box. They're going to create chances. They're going to take shots on goal. and they can get back into this game. Trossard and Marino are not going to do that.
Yeah.
So get in there, win your game, go 2-0, go 3-0 up, and then bring on Marino, and then bring on Trossard, and then bring on Norgard, and all the other defensive players shut up shop and stop them from getting back into the match. Because at that point, then they'll start pressing. Then they'll start trying to get the ball back from you. Then they'll start attacking.
It's so simple. It's so simple.
Football is a simple game.
He overcomplicates things sometimes. He overthinks it. He over prepares. He overanalyzes. He over intellectualizes it. Sometimes it's just simple. Sometimes it's just simple. Just go at them. Go at them.
And I will give him some credit, right? Because at halftime, my entire timeline said, wow, it's going to be awful watching these players come back out and play until 70 minutes, 80 minutes without changes. Arteta made changes immediately.
True.
He put on Eza, he put on Saka. The news that I've seen is that Madueke has suffered an injury of some sort.
Great.
I hope to God it's a 1 weeker because I cannot deal with more injuries right now.
Sham, I'm sorry, but I guess it would be important, and I think very negligent of us not to mention that Arsenal are only allowed to have one fit right wing at any given time. That's the rules. I don't make them. That's the way the universe works. It's like quantum theory. Like the physicists don't know how it works. They just know that that's the reality. Yeah. We can only have one fit right wing. We can also only have one fit left back. So we don't know what those are. I mean, maybe it's because it's a diagonal on the pitch. The physicists are still looking into why that's the case. They're not 100% sure.
It's like how only one of Eli and Peyton Manning was allowed to be good at one time.
At any given time, you can only have one
given time,
Manning.
Has to be one of them.
Yeah. It's like Highlander. It's like Highlander, Sham.
Yeah.
It's like, you have if the second that we have a fit person, we have Sean Connery come and slice their Achilles.
Yeah. No, it's the law of Mother Nature. But yeah, he reacted quicker than most of us thought he was going to. He changed the dynamics of the game. We instantly looked better. We controlled the game. City were shitting themselves, and that's when you saw Pep just play, the most defensive Allardyce Pulis ball that I've seen him play maybe ever, right? I don't think I've ever seen Pep Guardiola effectively play a 6-4-0 and make Erling Haaland practically play center back. Mm-hmm. And then sub him off. He subbed off Haaland. So, Arteta reacted well, and then he even did that thing that we used to see Wenger do all the time where he would, take off a defender and put on another attacking player. Wineri came on, and then Martinelli came on at the expense of Timber. So, he was throwing the kitchen sink at it like you'd hope he would do in this situation. We got something from it. So I do want to give him that credit, right? Because I'm not sure he would have done that in previous seasons.
No.
With the same players afforded to him. So
no, he wouldn't. So I don't know what that was very odd to see.
Yeah.
That was very odd. It's like that meme where it's like one person saying something and it's a cartoon where it's supposed to be an attractive person making a comment to a coworker, and then they're supposed to be all into it, and then the second panel is
how sweet.
Yeah, or vice versa. It's it was supposed to be an unattractive person, and then it's I'm calling HR. The same joke. I feel like that's when Arteta parks the bus at the Etihad. When he goes down to 10 men versus Pep Guardiola when he goes 1-0 up at the Emirates.
That's a great meme idea. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what it is when it's Pep. It's oh, how sweet. And then it's Arteta, and it's nah, I'm going to HR. So, it was amazing to see that because this is a team that wants possession. And by the second half, I think it was in the 60 minutes, they put up a stat on the board. It was 63% or for 37 touches in the opponent box for Arsenal versus 5 for City. Can you imagine if that was the other way around? If we had 5 touches in their box and they had 37 or whatever it was,
Oh, people would be panicking. The timeline would be a disaster.
Yeah, they'd be like, Arteta, what is he doing? This is like, he's so whatever. So, I do have sympathy for Arteta in the sense that like he gets a lot of stick for things that other people get away with, and we can't let Pep get away from that diabolical whatever the heck that was.
Yeah, no, we had these guys on the ropes, and I think the biggest disappointment out of that match is knowing that could have been the case for 90 minutes instead of 30.
Yeah.
That's
or
I think when you really get down to the crux of it, that's what every Arsenal fan is upset about from this game. The fact that we knew that we had the quality to really take the game to City for the entirety of the match, and the only person who seemingly didn't know was in charge of picking the lineup today.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what's grinding everyone's gears.
Yeah, and I think that there was people were just very off today too. I could tell you could tell. I've watched this team long enough. I've watched Arsenal long enough, and I've watched this sport long enough that you kind of get a sense of if a team's up for it from the get go. And you can and watching Arsenal, I remember this very distinctly with the Wenger era, and I'm starting to see it a little bit with Arteta. Luckily, Arteta can kind of come back from it. Arteta teams can come back from it a little bit more because I think part of it is like making halftime changes, for example, which is something Wenger would not do. So, but there is this tendency of being able to identify from the first 5 minutes, or maybe even less. Sometimes the first couple kicks of the game, you can kind of know. Okay, I see where this is going, right? And as an Arsenal fan, if you're listening, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. You know when you go, all right, we're up for this, or all right, we're very crisp today, or our passing is good, our defending looks good. And today, I just remember like jumping in, and we're missing tackles, and I feel like I'll tell you who really needs to step it up early on, because I think it really dictates how the games go. Declan Rice.
Who this is? Yeah.
Declan Rice.
Yeah.
Declan Rice. If he it's front and center of this kind of in their goal. Look at him. He's kind of like all over the place. He doesn't know what's going on. He can't get control of the midfield of the situation. If you look back at the last couple games that we've played, whenever there's been some kind of like craziness, he doesn't start off very well. He's misplacing passes sometimes. He's missing tackles. Like I don't know what's going on with him. I think he needs to. Maybe it's lethargy. Maybe it's I don't know. We haven't really seen this from Declan Rice since we got him. He's such an amazing player, but I've noticed that he's been struggling the last couple games. Yeah. And I don't know. It's just he is arguably our most important player in the midfield when it comes to controlling a game. I don't know. So.
Yeah. No, it wasn't a great game from him, and I do think he's had a pretty slow start to the season. I think part of it has to do with just the role has changed for him, right? He's not in front of a lone six anymore, and he's just playing left 8. I think now, he's in a double pivot with Zubimendi, but we're also not really playing it with a 10 like I think we should be. And so I think that complicates things, and like I think jobs and like the roles that people play in the higher end of the middle third entering the final third have to be more clearly defined. Because I think with Odegaard and Rice right now, I don't know. I think maybe the dynamics are a little complicated, or and also I doubt. I think Rice is maybe still just having trouble getting back to full fitness as well. He's played a lot of minutes recently. I don't know. Honestly, I'm clutching at straws. I don't know what's up with Rice, but I do know that this is a very difficult start to the season in terms of fixtures for him to be suffering form wise like he is.
Let me ask. Okay, let's say Rice, touch wood, gets injured or something, or we need to switch it up. What do we do? How do you play him into form, or how do you set up in a way that gives him some breathing room? I can't imagine. It's almost like we have all this depth, but like what is what's your viable replacement for White? Is it for Rice? Is it Eze up there? Maybe Trossard? Like what do you do?
I think if you
Norgard and then Zubamendi.
I think if you lose Rice to injury, and people are not going to like this because of how today went, I think if you lose Rice to injury, I would go with a midfield. I would effectively replace Rice with Marino.
Okay, on the left.
Honestly,
that's weird.
I would do one of two things. I would do one
Yeah.
of two things, right? Either you could just move Odegaard over to the left, where I think he is actually pretty effective, especially with playing runners in. You can move Odegaard to left 8.
Put Eze up at where in like the 10 kind of where Odegaard plays right now.
I would keep Eze at left wing in this scenario, and then I would have Marino play the right 8. Or there's the alternative where you bench Odegaard and you keep Marino right 8, but you play Eze left 8. Because I think the thing is, right, replacing Rice is tricky because a lot of his function is essentially protecting that left side of the pitch because you have Calafiori wandering up into the final third as well. And then, you're either playing Eze, who, is fine off the ball, but he's not, he's not like Martinelli off the ball where he's going to bust a lung getting back and he's going to help double up on a right winger or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So what I like about Rice is he provides that defensive cover in front of Gabriel, just so that if we do lose the ball, there's a buffer against it. So I would try to replace that in some way. And if you lose Rice, it's probably also necessary. Actually, wait.
I was going to say, what if you put Norgard in there and then you move Zubamendi up?
Well, I was gonna say actually, I've completely glossed over a really easy solution to this, which is just Lewis Skelly.
Yeah, but it seems like he doesn't even touch the pitch anymore.
Yeah, but I think if Rice goes down and you want to maintain the exact same dynamics,
you could just put Lewis Skelly. That's a good point.
Lewis Skelly in his left 8, and I think your problem's essentially solved.
Yeah. I guess that if you want to avoid like kind of switching things around.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be.
Forget everything I said. Except for Lewis Skelly.
No. But I think getting to that point is a good thought process because it just goes to show like how like pivotal he is in this team that like it really a lot goes through him. A lot of the pace and the tempo of the game is dictated by Rice and his ability to break up opponents and pressuring them and if he's not doing that high up the pitch, it becomes very difficult to control the game. And even if we have possession, in key moments, there's an ability to exploit us, and it's happened a couple times now. And now it just so happened, I don't think that like Port Vale is going to be able to do that, but I don't think that your lower opposition in the Premier League is going to be able to do that. But these big games with these difficult opposition where we really need these points, these like swing states of teams that we have to play in order to win the league, which is our goal, it becomes a problem.
Yeah, I just think I think Rice is such a critical player that you can't really take him out of the lineup because I still think he provides enough. He's not like costing us defensively, right? I would just say that he's not doing enough on the ball to really effectuate the positive change that you want him to in that position.
Yeah.
But off the ball, I still trust him. It's not
totally.
He's not making like really foolish tackles or anything and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it's tricky and unfortunately, right? That's just kind of football. Sometimes we're just players are not all on form at the same time, and you have to kind of get through it one way or the other.
Speaking of form. Speaking of form,
well,
let's talk about one player.
Well, so who are you thinking of? Because
I'm thinking of Martinelli.
Oh, okay. Well, so before we get to Martinelli, I promise we'll get to Martinelli.
Okay.
For City's goal, do you put that down to anyone in particular? Because
Saliba.
Okay, so you're
Saliba and Rice.
Okay.
Rice much less so. I'll say the whole midfield there was like this chaotic like cluster, going on when we lost possession. But Saliba, I think that's something that he does a little bit better. He was caught in two minds. He's defending Rainier's. Is that how you say his name? Rainier's, whatever his name is.
Reinders.
Reinders. He's thinking, all right, I gotta jockey and protect our goal from Reiniers. I need to stand in between him and our goal. And I don't know if he doesn't realize that Holland is kind of right behind him, about to make the run, or he really wants to stay between Holland and Reiniers to try to cut off that passing lane. But he should have known what he should have done. He should have dropped back and he should have just covered Holland. And I think let the other guy take the shot, because I think you trust your goalkeeper at that point. You cannot let Holland go one-on-one with your keeper in that position. And I think he was kind of caught in between two minds in that moment. And you could see he kind of gives too much space to the attacking player and then allows too much space for the runner, in this case Holland. So I do put some of this on Saliba. I'm not... he's been out. He just got back, which is another, selection question. I don't really blame Arteta for picking Saliba in this match. I personally think Mascara earned a right to start this one. I'm wondering, maybe it could have been better, maybe it could have been worse. I guess we're never going to know. Saliba, you have to be able to trust to be able to do this. I just think that he could have done a little bit better defensively. What do you think?
So here's the thing, right? I don't disagree that in a vacuum, you need at all costs to make sure that it's not Holland who has the ball in that, like, right in front of your goalkeeper, right?
Yeah.
So I do agree with that, but I just think, if you commit to Holland and you leave Reinders on the ball, right? Reinders is a goal threat. And even in that situation, you had Doku coming in on the left as well. And so you'd have left Timber with a 2v1 against Reinders and Doku. And I think it's a real Sophie's choice.
I don't think, yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah, because you're like,
obviously,
I think you go to the greatest striker in the Premier League year after year. I think that is who you bet. You're hedging your bets one way or another. I think you play the statistics and you just cover Holland closer. If you realize that you're not going to be able to do both, you let him go and you hope that he can't do it, even though they're both goal threats and you have Doku running in there. I think the indecision. I think you just go to the Holland. I guess it's not like a fatal error where I'm going, oh man, what a dumb mistake from Saliba. I get the logic and why he did what he did, but again, it's not in a vacuum, like you said. You have the best striker in the Premier League, kind of trailing behind you, threatening a one-on-one with your keeper. You get closer to him, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I mean, in that situation, Saliba definitely picked the worst option.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you really should be just making sure that Erling Haaland does not get the ball for a 1v1 with your goalkeeper, right? So
correct.
I
Yes.
do agree with that. I do think the bigger mistake happened further up the pitch, though, because I think Gabriel committed too much to Haaland and got too close to him when Haaland was, holding up and doing a quick 1-2. I forget who it was with, but Gabriel got too close where Haaland was able to turn and get past him and effectively burned him for pace. And if you watch
Zubimendi and him just chasing down Haaland at that point.
Yeah, and Gabriel was miles behind Haaland, and that I don't think that should happen. Right?
Okay.
That's where I am there. But yeah, I mean, Saliba, once City got into our third, I think Saliba didn't make the correct choice.
Yeah, so if we can even go up further than that, and that's what I was saying earlier on in the analysis, was I was looking at that kind of cluster is what I called it, and kind of Rice is involved in that. The ball is bouncing everywhere, no one can really get it under control. It looks like we're panicking a little bit, and to our credit and to fair play to them, they had a little bit of variance and lucky bounces that kind of went their way, and they were able to control it and then split us up. But that you really want to try to minimize those chaotic moments, and even if you have them, you got to do better at being able to stop it from progressing that quickly. And, that's kind of wishful thinking sometimes. But like you said, it involves not making mistakes like getting too close to Haaland and getting turned like Gabriel did. Or when it does come down to it and you need to make a smart decision, you need to make the right one. And you need to hedge your bets on that. I just think that it was a goal that, in retrospect, it's easy to say could have been avoided. But I don't know, maybe in reality, it's hard to say because we didn't avoid it, right? And it's one of those where it's not like a clear and obvious error was made. Maybe there's just some scenarios where it just doesn't go your way, and against a team that's not Manchester City, nothing happens. Like Saliba does great. We can catch up to whoever the striker is there, and like normal. But these are those small margins, man. These are the teams where those small margins turn into the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. I mean, again, it just goes back to the risk you take when you make a team selection like Arteta did, where if you go with managing the game, if you go behind, there's not really much that team can do until you make changes.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of which, can we talk about Martinelli now? Speaking of changes.
Yes,
okay.
Let's do it.
All right. So, historically, I have been very hard on Martinelli, and I still believe everything I've said about him, about his kind of one-dimensionalness and kind of his what he's kind of slid back in many respects. I don't think we've seen that change yet. All right, we haven't seen that. What he's done is highlight what he's good at.
Yeah.
He is good at that goal. We've seen that goal so many times, that beating them for pace, getting one-on-one with the keeper, and then scoring. When he doesn't have to think too much, when he's not worried about like passing to someone else or beating a player, when it's just running off the shoulder of a defender and then getting one-on-one with a keeper and scoring, that's his bread and butter, man. He's good at that. That's not what we're talking about, or what I'm talking about, at least when I'm concerned about what I've seen with Martinelli. That being said, I mean, what a goal. What a goal. Again, a clutch super sub goal. So looking at that pass from Eze, first of all, I mean, that's first it was Calafiori last game. Now it's Eze with this amazing chipped pass right into his run, and then you have Martinelli chipping the tallest keeper on planet Earth to score the equalizing goal in stoppage time. I mean, that was an amazing, amazing goal from Martinelli. Now the question I have for you is, do you start Martinelli now? Or is he better as a super sub?
No, I think you stick with what's working for Martinelli.
Do you think Arteta's going to actually do that? Would you be surprised if you see Martinelli start against Port Vale?
No, but I think that's different.
Or then the next game against whoever's we're playing. Who are we playing next?
I think if you want to,
is it Newcastle? Newcastle?
It's Newcastle away. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think?
I think if you're Arteta and you want to know whether or not you can start Martinelli at Newcastle in a week, start him at Port Vale and see how he does. And obviously, right, this isn't a 1-to-1. It's not like, if you
Port Vale equals Newcastle away.
Yeah. Obviously you need to take this and try to project it out a little bit and use some critical thinking here. But I think if Martinelli just absolutely torches Port Vale and has the time of his life, grabs a brace or a hat trick or something, then maybe you can think about it. I think if you start Martinelli against Port Vale and it's a decent performance or a good performance, but nothing like, he doesn't look like Ronaldo out there, then I think you stick with what you're doing here. Because I'll go back to the parachute analogy, right? I think right now Martinelli is the parachute where, you don't jump out of the plane and get to wherever it is appropriate to pull a parachute. I've never gone skydiving before, but you get to wherever it's appropriate to pull the cord.
I get the basic concept of it, right? Where you got to pull the thing and not die.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it is. Maybe like, a few hundred feet or something. I don't know. But
right.
You get to wherever you need to pull the cord, and you pull it and it works. You know, don't take that and then say, "Oh wow, I wonder if I should just pull the cord as soon as I jump out of the plane."
Right.
You know, so Martinelli has an opportunity against Port Vale to show that he's not just a parachute. But I think at the end of the day, if he's doing really well in a specific game state, then you just use him in that game state, and that's kind of the point of this squad, is that you have different players with different qualities who are useful in different situations,
Yeah.
and you just need to figure out what those situations are. So yeah, because the thing is, right, if you start Martinelli against Kieran Trippier at Newcastle and Martinelli does jack squat, that's not surprising. You know what I mean? And people will be annoyed. And despite any conversation there might be right now among fans saying, "Oh wow, Martinelli's been really good these last few games, give him a start," those same people will turn around and be like, "Well, you should have known not to start him at Newcastle. Like, he doesn't do anything when you know what I mean." So,
Yeah.
I wouldn't overthink it. And again, you have Eza, so
said
and maybe
wouldn't overthink it.
Madueke's back. So
Don't
you
overthink
have.
it.
Sorry.
You said don't overthink it. That's the magic words.
Yeah, don't overthink it. You have better options there. Just use the better options. It's a big game. Just do what you know works.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you know what? I just want to kind of give a shout out to Martinelli because he is making a big impact, and he is fighting to show the manager why he should be starting at Arsenal, and it's absolutely 100% commendable. I do not want that to fall by the wayside. This is what we want to see from our squad players.
Yeah.
Is we do not want them to be happy just being squad players. Well, I guess in an ideal world, they would still fight as if though they were not okay with it, but actually were okay with it. In this case, I don't think Martinelli's probably too happy about just being a squad player, and he's playing that way. That being said, I wonder, it's interesting now that we're playing to his strengths. We're not forcing him to throw in crosses and go try to beat defenders. And it's interesting. I don't know how true it is, but I think it may be. It looks like his girlfriend kind of posted on her. Did you see this on her story?
No.
So his girlfriend posted, Martinelli's girlfriend, like a picture of their Snapchat or their WhatsApp group, where he was saying that he messaged saying that he's not in the starting 11, and then she basically said, "You're going to go up against tired legs and you'll score." So, like, clearly, assuming that's actually accurate, whether it is or isn't, it's clear that that's a tactic and it works. All right, and it's something that we kind of touched on early when we signed Eze. And even before that, this was something I've said. I've said I want to see an upgrade on that left wing because I think Martinelli, if we can keep him, is going to be a very dangerous player against tired defenders.
Yep.
And that's exactly what we've been seeing. You run them ragged with your Gyökeres's and your Eze and I guess in this case Trossard, and then you put on Martinelli. And he's very difficult to deal with off the shoulder. So good on him. Stick with what works. Arteta, please, for the love of everything, don't overthink things. It's very simple. Super sub. Martinelli's a super sub, and it's working right now. Maybe that progresses. We're not there yet. Keep the course. Thank you.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think that's kind of it's kind of the theme here, right? Just don't overthink it.
Mm-hmm.
You have the players. You know what their traits are. You know what they're good at. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just win football matches. So,
yeah.
Before we get out of here, I just kind of want to ask this one last thing.
Yeah.
Are you worried about Gyökeres at all?
Yeah, a little.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I don't think that he is a good goal scorer, but because I think that we are not playing to his strengths.
Yeah.
And I think we are trying to force him to play the way that our team wants to play, which is a nightmare for me, a nightmare scenario, because he is not that kind of a player, I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe time will prove me wrong. Fine, whatever. I'll be happy to be. I'm always happy to be wrong when it means the team benefits in some way. There's no ego. However, what I'm seeing is a striker who is ostensibly signed because he's very, very capable of putting away low chance goals, right? So when there's a low percentage of scoring, one of the big draws of signing him was he's not like Holland, but he scores. The problem with that is that you got to get him the ball.
Yeah.
And we are not able to do that right now in any meaningful way. I think there's a lot that he's doing off the ball. I think he's making it very difficult for defenders. In set pieces, he's this physical. He's beating people up. He adds this physicality to the game where, you're going to have to deal with him, which could open up space for other players. There's a lot of benefits that he's getting that are not scoring goals. But we did not, at least I hope and think, we did not sign him just to do that. We signed him so that when his head or his foot or knee or whatever touches the ball, it ends up in the back of the net. That's why we signed a striker.
Yeah.
It's so Arsenal to finally sign a proper striker and then not even give him the ball. What are we it's like, What are we doing? Why? So I'm sorry. Did it come across that I am worried? I'm a little worried, Sham. I'm a little worried.
Yeah, I just, I think we're trying to fit Gyökeres into a Havertz-shaped hole. And that's just not his skill set.
There's your soundbite.
Yeah. Don't take that the wrong way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, but you're right. You're right.
There's just we're creating a bunch of chances for him that maybe Havertz would take. Like
Yes.
I always get so concerned when we just start crossing it into the box and Gyökeres is surrounded by like 3 or 4 people. Like he's not going to win those headers. I'm sorry.
Historic. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But like
not the Premier League. Well, yeah, it's just that might work in the Champions League, but
no, it doesn't. Not for him. Historically, he does not score headers. That's not.
No, but
it's not his strength. We're not playing to his strength. Why do we do this?
Well, even just like forget scoring, just like getting to them. Like
oh yeah, okay, yeah,
like in the Champions League, like I mean at Athletic Club, like he was getting to headers like 2 or 3 times, but like in the Premier League, when you're up against very tactically astute managers who really drill their defenders and really focus on defending the box, Gyökeres isn't going to win headers against those guys, especially not Ruben Diaz or Nathan Ake. So like,
I don't know, but
he
doesn't score headers. He doesn't score them though. Like
yeah.
What are we Why are we feeding Gyökeres headers? Either we can't do anything else, or we're trying to like force the issue about him scoring headers, which historically never does. Put the ball at his feet. Let him get it in the ball. Why are we trying to fit him into a system that doesn't suit his strengths?
Yeah.
Play to his strengths. Just like Martinelli. Play to Martinelli's strengths. Don't let him try to run down a blind alley. And look what happens when you play to his strengths. He's effective. It's not, football's not that complicated.
Yeah, and a lot of this goes back right to personnel and to game state, where, Gyökeres isn't going to break down a low block for you. And, if you have him up there with like Trossard and Marino, he's not going to get the service that you need to get him, right? If the 2 8s behind him are Rice and Marino, and he's got Madueke who's being double teamed on one side because Trossard's the guy on the other side, that's not going to result in the service you need. Now, if you had Nwaneri playing in the middle, and then you had Eza playing on the left, and then you had Madueke or Saka on the right, different story, right? Those are 3 different paths for chance creation for Gyökeres, but I just think we are asking him to be a battering ram sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's not how you're going to get the best out of him. So, it's a trickier situation than a lot of people are going to give it credit for, because again, we have just one striker at the moment, but I saw people say that we would have been better off playing Marino at center forward today, and honestly, I don't think that's a crazy idea. In this particular game, I think, yeah, maybe you just needed a guy to win the duels and like be a focal point. Maybe that wasn't the way you use Gyökeres today. Overall, I'm not worried about Gyökeres the player, but like you, you know, I just hope we learn to use him better and we stop trying to make him feed off scraps, because that's not how you're going to get a monster striker. So.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Look, I think that it comes down to personnel, like you said. So I guess there's that's the only saving grace, I think, in my concern over Gyökeres, is that I don't think this is a permanent problem. I think that we're going, once Odegaard's fit, once it can kind of free up Eze on the left there, I think that we're going to see a bit more dynamism in the final third. And I think the biggest person to benefit from that is going to be Gyökeres. So I'm not worried about it in that regard, but I am worried in that it's very precarious. It's very precarious,
Yeah.
We should, even with Marino in midfield, even with even someone like Trossard, we should be able to be getting the ball to him more.
Well, the problem is, right?
But so this is what I'm.
Sure.
Let me explain what I mean by that. That should be our number one focus.
Yeah.
Or get the ball to Gyökeres. Get the ball to Gyökeres. Stop. I don't want to see us pass 50 million times around the back trying to draw the team out and stuff like that. How many back passes we saw in that first half? Get the ball up there. Trust your defense. Maybe Marino can't get the ball to him, but Zubamendi can. Even Saliba or Gabriel can. Timber can. Have Calafiori run on an adventure and then get the ball to him. Yeah. That should be the game plan. Just get it to Gyökeres, see what he can do. But again, it's Arteta. He's smarter than me, so I'm gonna trust that there's a reason why we don't do that. It just seems like that could work.
Yeah.
And it seems that ball over the top, when we're running off a defender's shoulders, has gotten us points this game and won the game last time. So what are we doing here, guys? Come on.
Yeah. And, again, like, we did try some passes in behind to him, but those passes weren't coming off the feet of, Saka or Eze or Wineri. So I think...
you're right.
So, against City... I just think you need to be almost inch perfect, and we didn't start with the creative talent that is more likely to play those kinds of passes. So,
I think you're right. I think you're right. But then there's I guess the counter argument is like Brighton weren't inch perfect against City. Who else did they lose to? Didn't they lose to, was it Spurs?
Yeah.
Spurs certainly aren't inch perfect. They just kind of go for it.
Yeah.
So. I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying. It's just I feel like if we just and if Arteta really wants to play mind games, I don't think they would have expected that. Just play some old school long ball football and pass it to the big, giant, prolific goal scorer. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about here, but it seems like it would have worked.
I mean, also, like there is something to be said about how it probably would have opened up the game a little bit if every time Marino or Zubamendi or Calafiori or someone pass it backwards, they just turned around and tried to boot it up the pitch to Gyökeres would have chased after it.
Of course.
Every time you do that opens the game up a little bit. Makes it feel
Medweke too. Yeah. Medweke. We have this really fast, like tricky player.
Yeah.
And who really I'm a little worried about his right foot. But other than that, I mean, you have Trossard who's a tricky player too. Just boot it up there, like stop like trying to play perfect football and just like try to win. I don't know, whatever. Maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully Port Vale doesn't look like this, because then maybe we're really in trouble. But yeah, I mean, final word before we get out of here.
Yeah,
5 points behind Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't clicked yet. How worried are you about that?
Oh, you already, yeah. I think Liverpool are going to win the league,
Yeah.
and that hasn't changed. I thought right when that free kick from Szoboszlai went in, I said, well, there we go. It's plot armor FC, and then it hasn't changed. And unfortunately, that's my position. I still think that they're going to win. That obviously can change. We're not even in October yet, but I've seen this script. I think we're too inconsistent, and they're playing like crap, and they are coming away. They're getting away with it, and then I feel like they're going to get better over time. And they're going to get better over time at probably a relatively same time that we're going to start clicking once Odegaard comes back and our players come back. And barring some kind of major injury crisis from them, which I think if it comes down to who has the bigger, more in-depth squad, I think we will win that in the long run. Yeah. But barring that, I just think that they're going to click as well, and then they're too far ahead. I think at this point,
this is why you and I had this rant last episode about what a bad faith take it is to say Arsenal need to win something this year, when it's been an uphill battle since the beginning, right? And by the way, I don't know. I'll say that Liverpool are the favorites, but I don't know how this season is going to shake out because we're still at the very beginning of it. But what I'll say right now is Liverpool broke the English transfer record twice in one summer to bring in, and they also spent 80 million euros on a third guy to really beef up their attack. And then I think they've had a very favorable schedule. We have not. We're going to play our 6th Premier League game of the season next weekend, and in that time we've started away at Old Trafford, and then we went to Anfield, and then we hosted City today. Next week we're going to go to Newcastle, right? And this is a Newcastle that just gave Barcelona a run for their money at home. So we got shafted. I'll say it. We got shafted with a very, very difficult start, while Liverpool had a start that allowed them to not be at their best and still get away with it. Mm-hmm. Right? And now Isak's going to ease in. He's going to click. They're going to start winning games much more comfortably. They're not going to need to score in the 94th, 96th, 114th minute to win games. And in the meantime, we're already 5 points back because we've had this difficult start, and we're going to have to play catch-up now. And Liverpool are historically very good leaders. They're not good at playing catch-up. They're good at defending the lead at the top of the table. Yep. So yeah, for people to come out and say, "Oh, Arsenal had to win something," I never subscribed to that.
Correct.
I've always been someone who just, let's just take it one game at a time, see how things shake out. So look, it's very possible that Liverpool burn out. It's very possible that they suffer a couple, or at least one very critical injury at a very critical time that derails them a little bit. It's possible that we win every game for the rest of the season. You never know. But for me, this season is about not making any dumb mistakes, is about trying to rack up as many points as possible, and it's about learning from our mistakes, like the one that Arteta made today, early. Learn about them early and don't make the same mistake again. That's what this season is about for me. And then we'll see where the chips fall by mid-May. And if Liverpool are just this unstoppable attacking force that blows the doors off of every defense in the Premier League, what are you going to do about that? Thierry Henry can have as many rants on CBS Sports as he wants in that case. But that's the way of the season. So we'll see what happens in that regard. Anything else you want to touch on? Or should we knock this on the head?
No. I think that we kind of covered it. It's always good therapy coming here.
Yeah, I feel better.
Me too.
I do feel better. Looking forward to the Port Vale game.
Me too.
Just give the kids some minutes. That's I want to see the baby.
I would like to see the baby.
I would like to see the baby. That's how I feel about the Port Vale game. So
Yeah, let's do it.
yeah. So we'll talk about that when that happens. But yeah, we'll leave it there. So thank you for being here. Whether you're listening or you're watching, thanks for, I hope you enjoyed this therapy session as much as we did. And, if you enjoyed, please do follow John at 305cast, and you can follow me at Shamsdale. You can follow the pod at Not That Gooner. You can follow the pod on Blue Sky at notthatgooner.bsky at social, or on Instagram at Not That Kind of Gooner. You can subscribe to our YouTube page, which you can find at Not That Kind of Gooner. We're also on TikTok, same handle. If you're listening on Spotify, please do give us a 5-star review, as well as Apple Podcasts. You can do that there too. It really does help put the pod out there in front of more and more people and grow the audience. So we'd really appreciate that. And if you do have any questions or suggestions for things that we can do on here, please do email us at notthatkindofgooner@gmail.com. So I think that's all the admin. So until then, or not until then, we will be back with you after the Port Vale game. Also, hopefully Drew is available later in the week as well, so the three of us can kind of talk about these boardroom changes that happened over the weekend. I think there's some interesting threads to pick in there. So we'll hopefully talk about that next time, and we'll break down the Port Vale game and look ahead to our trip to St. James's Park. So be sure to join us for all that later this week. But until then, take care, get your mind out of the gunner, and we'll talk to you soon. So we'll be back with you after we eviscerate Port Vale. Until then, bye. Bye.